Technology can be a blessing and a curse, and nowhere is this more evident than in the creation of new life. Surrogacy, the mechanical implantation of a man's sperm in the donated womb of a woman, is now a chosen method for creating babies. This video is not about the ethics of surrogacy per se, but the abuse of it by men with evil intent. All over the world, men are using the practice for what is nothing less than the industrial manufacture of children. How are rich men using surrogacy? The Wall Street Journal recently ran an article on the schemes of wealthy men to produce offspring. The article begins, quote, "Clerks working for family court judge Amy Pellman were reviewing routine surrogacy petitions when they spotted an unusual pattern. The same name again and again," end quote. Billionaires, especially from China, were seeking to create gigantic families through surrogacy. They chose America because surrogacy is illegal in China and virtually unregulated here. One of the billionaires is Bo Xu. Quote, "Xu calls himself China's first father and is known in China as a vocal critic of feminism. On social media, his company said he has more than 100 children born through surrogacy in the U.S., end quote. Xu said that through this process, he hoped to have 50 high-quality sons. When Judge Pellman called Xu Bo in for a confidential hearing in the summer of 2023, he never entered the courtroom. The maker of fantasy video games lived in China and appeared via video, speaking through an interpreter. He said he hoped to have 20 or so U.S.-born children through surrogacy, boys because they're superior to girls, to one day take over his business. Again from the journal, quote, "Another wealthy Chinese executive, Wang Weiwu, hired U.S. models and others as egg donors to have 10 girls with the aim of one day marrying them off to powerful men," end quote. Amanda Troxler, a Los Angeles-based surrogacy lawyer, said her firm consulted with a hopeful Chinese parent who said she wanted 8 or 10 surrogacies and asked for a discount. Troxler said, quote, "No, we're not Costco," end quote. An increasing number of crazy rich clients are commissioning dozens or even hundreds of U.S.-born babies with the goal of forging an unstoppable family dynasty. The market has been streamlined. At times, Chinese parents have had U.S.-born children without stepping foot in the country. A thriving mini industry of American surrogacy agencies, law firms, clinics, delivery agencies, and nanny services, even to pick up the newborns from the hospital, has risen to accommodate the demand, permitting parents to ship their genetic material abroad and get a baby delivered back at a cost of up to $200,000 per child. The article goes on to cite many other instances of mass baby production using surrogacy. What is their reason for having lots of biological offspring? The reasons vary, but underlying it all is materialistic atheism. Children are nothing more than biological cogs in a machine. They can be manufactured and then programmed to do whatever their human creator wants them to do. They want children to run their businesses or to marry into other rich families, expanding their influence. Whatever the reason, the assumption is that babies are not spiritual beings, but can be cranked out on an assembly line to serve their human masters. So what's wrong with mass manufacture of babies? Anyone see a problem here? Would you say there are any ethical or spiritual concerns with this process? It hollows out the meaning of family and human dignity. When a child figures out they were conceived this way, there are going to be serious psychological and spiritual repercussions. We already deal with this in adoption. Imagine the identity crisis in a young child when they realize surrogacy was their origin and the reasons for that surrogacy. Despite the wealth and resources at their disposal, these billionaires reveal a profound misunderstanding of parenting. They often approach child rearing as a mechanism of control rather than a nurturing endeavor. Experiencing parenthood teaches many that children possess their own thoughts, feelings, and wills, an aspect that cannot be dictated or programmed. The billions I read about are misogynist in the extreme. They are convinced of the inferiority of women. Of course, this has been common in most cultures from the beginning. As I have said repeatedly, it is only Christian culture that believes in the equal worth of women, and it's all because of Genesis 1:27. God created women in His image as well as men. And I have news for the billionaires. It's a big mistake to think you can program children into automatons who will do your bidding. Every parent has made this mistake in some degree. When I first had children, I assumed I could get them to do what I wanted them to do. But that's not how it worked out. Have any of you noticed that kids have minds of their own? Let me make a prophetic utterance to Bo Shu and Wang Wei Wu and other billionaires trying to mass manufacture a family. It won't work. A generation from now, you will have all kinds of movies and books about surrogate kids who grew up to be something very different from what their biological fathers intended. They will rebel. Some will turn into monsters. Some will become Christians. But there will be all kinds of outcomes the billionaires did not intend. Another problem, the process is void of love. It's all done for money. It is human selfishness run wild. No one loves these kids. They are human robots. In the United States, it is estimated that only 2% of surrogacy contracts are altruistic, that is, unpaid, suggesting that lower-income women are attracted to surrogacy for financial reasons. Across the U.S., laws prohibit the sale of organs and criminalize prostitution precisely because there are some things that should be safeguarded from market forces. Renting reproductive capacity belongs in that category. What is God's family plan for mankind? God's design for families stands in stark contrast to the transactional approach to procreation. The Bible outlines a divine blueprint for family life in Genesis 2:24, emphasizing that a man shall leave his parents and unite with his wife, forming a new family unit. These are the first instructions on how the fundamental unit of the human race is to operate. God organizes societies into families. Kids need a father and a mother. Children are spiritual beings. They must be discipled by mom and dad. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he won't depart from it." That's the job of parents. The Bible assumes children will have a mom and dad who will raise them to be what God wants them to be. Titus 1:6 says, "The Christian leader is responsible for the spiritual lives of his children. Otherwise, he forfeits his right to leadership." This whole process needs the guiding hand of Jesus Christ and the Christian faith. We must begin with the biblical view of human nature. Men and women are spiritual beings, created in the image of God and invested with free will. Their great need is to embrace the God who created them. There are billionaires in this world who are committed to procreating biological offspring. Christians are committed to producing spiritual offspring, beings who will worship God forever.